helium ion here, I guess. I really want us to focus in on, again, why this map is important in the Genesis game for the Foundation. Okay, so we got a lot of hydrogen helium stuff to cover inside of there, 13 whatever prior to that up to this point, or for me to say that's the bracket before the wave function, right? Because wave function somewhere's in there doing something like that, some version of measure theory of hydrogen helium. It's great. What they say happens is, all that entropy inside there had to do some stuff. Protium, durium, tritium, whatever, hydrogen ions that had to have been on this side of it. See, then the scale works to that -1, 0, where it's a stuff and you need 0 and -1, the way the math works. When we get here to, I think there was a generation of star before ours, because ours is not obviously a blue hypermassive giant, but it does kind of argue whether ours is first or second generation, right? Or third generation, right? Because then if this is a third generation and this is the first generation, then that's locked in against the wall real fast, because it's hydrogen, hot massive gas collapse. And so supermassive black holes, some difference from that, some smaller black holes away from it, definitely not eating as many other small, medium black holes until that distance kind of phases through a point of time or expansion or something. Earth kind of formed inside of all of that, about that explodey back in here somewhere, maybe even a couple of stars in the area. I'm not exactly sure. It's probably more about the not necessarily the heliosphere, but more like, I'm talking, these things were beasts apparently back in the day. Um, we'll need some tidal forces here and some general notes about Pangea, right? I'm just saying, if I put 13 inches on one 3-inch line and roughly 5 billion is in here, generally it's a little bit more than a third, right? Because 15. About how, all right, fair ball. You're walking this out about kind of boards and radials on that ball, or this parentheses over this parentheses, because the moon formed after the Earth, real close to it. But kind of the mixing bowl of what you got there is us going on a scale to then, like, all right, some things cooled down, and roughly between here to here, I got a rock that looks like Pangea. Bugs, Devonian, I'm not exactly sure when the Devonian was. 65 million years ago is roughly when the dinosaurs was, so there's a caveat on this here line about that's what the map looked like. That's what Earth, if I put it on a square and it's got some squishy edges with some water and some A and B inside of there. Dinosaurs ruled the Earth, Lucy's skull. So again, big jump in the map, right? We're talking about some pretty big year indexes here. It goes this way, though. Here I'm coming up on the top side of it. All right, at any rate, Turk Boy here. Again, all right, so the Pangea issue about all that Brownian mechanics and some other stuff hot and jammed up in there, you might want to get out of the way, has a lot to do with, that I can't use that scale anymore. This is not going to be appropriate. Well, this one here, because the first humans were about 300 million years ago, or 300,000 years ago, excuse me, in terms of the last Stone Age and end of about the last Ice Age, right? I'm going to now say that whole segment, because of the way some dinosaur stuff works, and I'm slipping it in, that's a map. That's a physical. That is a lot of years of crushed, so that I'm starting to say, okay, so now I'm not seeing the difference in the physical globe that we know today, that we have to use some geology to walk a radial to kind of figure out about how deep that is inside of certain hydrogen helium aspects. I mean, early universe is back here, so the most recent material that we have is kind of caught in that base and height, half base and height, about, what angles that would be. More angles, triangles here, more sides on the die, right? And so as we're running those lines in the given day, each of them sharing some similarities between the properties of those notations on the scale of all in one rough square, rectangle area, math with some caveats about stuff